Alright guys, so on deck today is going to be a fairly quick 10mm ballistic test, but before we get into that, the background here, we have the X95, a little bit of scenery for the background, and we have two new optics for it, the Trigicon MRO and the ATN Thor HD 2:8 thermal. So probably be doing some more with the MRO here in the near future, and definitely will be following up on the ATN thermal. So far, pretty impressed with this. It was actually really easy to zero, and everything seems to be working great right now. And the MRO so far is performing well, quite similar to an Aimpoint Micro, but they typically cost a little less. So we'll be getting into more with those at a later date. But today, 10mm. Today we'll be doing the Hornady Critical Duty. This round used to be sold exclusively through Cabela's, but I found this locally, so I don't know that Cabela's has the exclusive on this anymore. It's a 175 grain flex lock. This is the same bullet as far as I know being used in the 40 cal critical duty loading. Hornady claims 1,150 feet per second on the box. So we'll be throwing this over the chronograph to see how that stacks up. We'll be using the Glock 20 standard factory barrel, as well as a Glock factory 6-inch barrel. And after that, we'll throw it into some water jugs and see how well this 175 grain flex lock holds up at the additional 10mm velocities. So that's what's coming up next. Alright, this will be the Hornady Critical Duty 175 grain flex lock from the Glock 20 standard factory barrel, approximately 10 feet. Alright, our low was 1111, our high was 1133, our average was 1122. Fairly consistent, average of 1,122 feet per second. Alright, we'll throw the 6-inch barrel in and we'll give that a whirl and see what we get. Alright, so this will be with the Glock factory 6-inch barrel. Okay, our low was 1158, our high was 1179, our average was 1168. So again, fairly consistent, a little on the low side compared to the box. Looks like we're exceeding the velocity slightly out of the 6-inch, and we're coming on just under on the 4.5-inch, I believe these are, for the factory barrel. So I'm assuming Hornady must be using a 5-inch barrel for their velocity readings. But let's go ahead and get into the water jug test. Alright, so a quick look at the setup. We have some half-gallon milk jugs filled with water. They're approximately 3.75 inches thick, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, so that gives us 15 inches on our front row here. Then we have two 1-gallon water jugs. These are 5 inches thick, so it gives us 20 and 25 inches, and then just some backer jugs just in case. Now, typically what I see is penetration in these types of jugs approximately 1.5 times that of ordnance gel. So if we get penetration into this second jug, we'll be looking between about 12 to 13 inches of penetration, and if we get penetration into this fourth jug, we'll be looking more in the 13-14 inch range. Hopefully we won't have any exit out of the back of this fourth jug or this second 1-gallon jug, but hopefully we at least make it into the first 1-gallon jug. So somewhere between here and here is what we're looking for. So this is a bare test, so no clothing, anything like that. So this is designed to sort of stress the bullet to its max. We have the added velocity over the 40 cal loading coming out of our 10 mil. So we want to see, is this round going to over expand and under penetrate? Is it going to come apart and fragment, or is it going to perform just fine? So let's go ahead and get this going. Alright, so first up is the standard factory barrel. Alright, we're going to have to dig around and see if we can find it. Alright, so I see that polymer FTX tip floating in the 4th half-gallon jug. I see there's a large crack on the back. It's actually leaking. And we have another crack leaking on our first 1-gallon jug. So it looks like the round is, yeah, it's inside our 4th half-gallon jug. So that puts our penetration at 15 inches. With the cracks, I'll probably give it credit for just an inch or two more. So we're probably looking between 10 and 12 inches, probably the 11-inch range in ordnance gel. Would, you know, somewhere in there, depending on how it's calibrated. We're looking roughly, we're real close to that 12-inch mark. Again, this is a bare test, so this is designed to stress the bullet to the max. You probably see a little less expansion in ordnance gel on a bare test, certainly less with a heavy clothing test, and you could expect a little more penetration. But let's go ahead and get this out of here and see how it held up. Alright, so we have our recovered round. Very uniformly expanded. In fact, it looks like perfect textbook performance. It looks to be, I don't have a precise measuring device with me, but laying it on the tape measure, it looks to be right in the mid-60s on caliber, 0.65-ish, I guess. I'll try to get some actual measurements when I get back home, but if I had to guesstimate right now by laying it on the tape, I'd say it's about 0.65. Very uniform. Overall, that's pretty good performance. So let's go ahead and step it up with the 6-inch barrel and see if that added velocity changes anything or if we get the same results. Alright, this will be the 6-inch Glock factory barrel. More splatter. Okay, there's our round. Looks like it cracked our second 1-gallon jug. So we got 20 inches, a full 20. We'll add maybe a couple extra because we actually cracked into that, but it didn't penetrate in. So we're looking at probably a good 14 inches of penetration or so. It looks like the round folded back just a little bit more. That added velocity reduced the expanded diameter just a little bit, it looks like. And that probably is exactly what led to slightly greater penetration. Still, the round held together quite well. Okay, we'll get some final results here and wrap this up. Alright, so final thoughts on the 10mm Hornady Critical Duty. On the left, we have the bullet recovered with the 6-inch barrel. It penetrated a full 20 inches and nearly broke into the that second 1-gallon jug. So we're looking at probably right around 14 inches of penetration would be about what I would expect to see in ordnance gel. We had a little bit of lead break off on 3 of the pedals, but the jacket pedals themselves stayed intact, and we had slightly less recovered diameter, as you can see here, the standard barrel. Slightly less recovered diameter, which led to the slightly greater penetration. So our standard barrel, we had perfect expansion, perfect weight retention. I mean, this actually looks really, really good. Penetration was a little bit off, but probably no more than an inch at most. And for a bare shot with no clothing or anything, I wouldn't be too concerned about that. So only thing I like to see, I wish Hornady would label this their ammo a little closer. I usually find Hornady comes usually a little bit under on their velocity statements, and this one was no exception. Now it's not too far off, but I think they'd be more honest if they just labeled it as 1125, 1,125 feet per second, because that's probably more along the lines of what you could expect from a duty gun. However, the loading, it looks like they have it juiced up about to the optimal level. Anything more, as you saw from the 6-inch barrel, looks like it's going to start peeling off some petals and whatnot, and reducing the recovered diameter. So while either of these would have been acceptable performance, it does look like this is the optimal velocity range. So if you are packing a 10mm, if you're in law enforcement or just self-defense, this does look like it'd be a real good street load. Adequate penetration, excellent expansion. It is a barrier blind load. Recoil is quite manageable, more punch than the 40, but not super stout like some of the other boutique manufacturers load their 10mm to. So overall, pretty pleased with this as far as a self-defense round goes. So hope you like this, guys. If you like the content in the channel and you're not already subscribed, please subscribe, like the videos, share, and don't forget to comment down below. And as always, guys, please keep those comments professional. I'll see you next time.